So in this video, we're talking about another software setup step that is specific to setting up a 4-pi system with a lower objective X, Y, and sample Z piezo stage whose controllers are all inside of the same chassis. If you're not setting up a 4-pi system, you can skip this. When you're setting up your 4-pi microscope, you need to check that all the PI stage controllers are communicating with your computer as we did in the last video. If you haven't already done that, I would recommend doing it before you continue. So if we open PI Micromove and we connect with the E-621 controller, we just have to find it in the list. There it is. And I'm clicking connect. And we can see that everything connects no problem. You can see we have a connection with the lower objective X axis, lower objective Y axis, and the sample Z stage, which is the last axis. Now if we open the Windows Device Manager, the E-621 controller shows up under the PI USB devices, but we need to send serial commands to this controller, and without a COM port, how are we going to do it? The answer is to create a virtual driver that lets LabVIEW talk to the USB device as if it had a COM port. The virtual driver doesn't mean the device shows up with a COM port in Windows. It's more like some address information that tells LabVIEW where to send the serial commands. Now, creating a virtual driver for a USB device is already covered in an online tutorial from NI, and I'm putting a link to that document in the description of this video. I've already created a virtual driver, and I've included it in the Microscope-Control repository, so if you've already downloaded or cloned that, you should be in good shape. The downside here is that once you uninstall the PI driver, the E621 won't show up in PI Micromove. For that, you need to uninstall the virtual driver that we're about to install and then reinstall the PI driver. It doesn't take long, but it is an extra step. So the first thing I need to do is exit PI Micromove, and we need to uninstall the driver for the E621. So I'm right-clicking on the device, and I'm choosing Uninstall Device. I'm also selecting the option for the Delete Driver Software for this device. So after I click Uninstall, Windows is uninstalling and deleting the driver for this device, and once that's done, it no longer appears in the device manager. Now I'm going to physically unplug the USB cable from the controller. I'm waiting 1 second, and now I'm plugging the USB cable back in, and now the E621 has shown up under the Other Devices category. Now Windows says this device is ready to use, but it's actually not. Now, starting in Windows 10, you can only install drivers that are signed, and we want to install an unsigned driver. So before you can do the next step, you need to turn this feature off. I'm putting a link in the video description to a PDF that has very clear instructions about how to do this. Once you've turned driver signing off, right-click on the device and choose Update Driver, and then select the Browse My Computer for Driver Software option and choose Browse. Now we're going to browse to Microscope-Control, Device Library, Stages, PI, and I've created a folder called PI USB Drivers that's part of the repository. Now select the E-501 XYZ Stage USB Driver folder, and then click OK. Click the Next button. The driver was generated by NI, so Windows can't verify the publisher. That's fine. Choose the Install Anyway option. Now Windows actually installs the driver, and once it's done, we get a screen that says the driver was successfully installed. Click Close, and now let's close the Device Manager and open NI Max, which is the program from NI that manages all of the NI software and devices installed on your system. Once NI Max is open, expand the Devices and Interface tree in the left-hand sidebar. and you'll see the E-816 now appears as an NI device. By default, NI has given this a long, cumbersome name, and we need to change that. So right-click on the device and give it a new, easier-to-remember name. I'm going to name mine XYZ stage. This is important because the name we're giving the device here is the name we need to set in the configuration file. Now we've named the device, and we can close NI Max. Now that we've installed the NI virtual driver, the device is no longer available in PI Micromove. We can check this quickly if we open PI Micromove, click on the controller, and you'll see the USB tab says the device isn't available. To make the device available in Micromove again, we need to uninstall the LabVIEW virtual driver and reinstall the PI driver. So let's open the Windows Device Manager and locate the device now listed under the NI USB device category. Now we'll right-click on the device and choose the Uninstall Device menu option. Make sure you choose the option to delete the driver software and choose Uninstall. Now we need to physically unplug and replug the USB cable for this device so the device shows up in the Unknown Devices category. Now right-click on the unknown device and choose Update Driver. Click on Browse My Computer, choose Browse, and let's browse to Microscope-Control, Device Library, Stages, PI, USB drivers, and then the next folder is also PI USB drivers. Click OK, click Next, and the driver should install successfully, so click Close. And now the device is listed under the PI USB devices. So let's open PI Micromove, and now we can select the controller and connect without any issues. Now that we have the virtual driver set up with LabVIEW, we can move on to the next step in the software setup process, which is setting up the configuration file.